everyone, and welcome to the final race of our 2017 Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship, coming to you from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I'm your series announcer, Frank Wood. Today's race coverage is brought to you by Dalton Timmis Insurance, Motovan, Honda, Magneti Morelli offered by Mopar, and Dunlop.
Lining up here to go on our warm-up lap for the 7th and final round of our middleweight professional level race championship here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the former Mosport, and very solid grid here. We've got pretty much all the front runners except for Frank Trombino, who's out with injury, and he's won twice this year. Card won once, which was last time, and Kazaz has won 3 times. We'll see who adds to their total.
We were on board just for a moment there with Will Hornblower, and I mentioned Colin in yesterday's race, Hornblower catching me out a bit because he changed his number this year from 47 to 111.
Heading down the hill into turn 2, first lap, get those tires nice and warm, just off the warmers.
Oh no! Oh my God! Hornblower's gone down on the warm-up lap. What the heck? What? I don't believe it.
That's the bottom of the hill at 2.
He's up and okay, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think that, I mean, good that he's up and okay, but I don't think that bike's going to be all right. So I think we've lost one of our potential winners, a podium guy from the day before. Excuse me, as we have a look here at our starting grid, and these are based on lap times from yesterday's race. It's a new process that we use. Interesting way to set the grid, looking for some changes in terms of the lineup for today, our 7th round. Yesterday's race was based on qualifying on Friday, but this time we're going with fast laps from Saturday's race.
Yeah, rather unique, Colin. I rather like it as well. We got a situation here where a person could actually finish 5th in race 1, but have the fastest lap of the race and end up starting on pole.
Yeah, so pace is important here. You can see basically the race order from yesterday is the starting order. So not a lot of deviation. Interesting, Jacob Shaw O'Leary and Chris Brandt are 2 rookie pros completing their first season as a pro, and both of them have had their challenges, but both of them have shown really well. Eli DeCash, one of the front runners from Shannonville, joining the national tour here, and also Darren James, who used to be a regular on the series. He lives in BC, mostly road races in Ireland and England, but he has come to Mosport, favored track with most of our pro racers, to enjoy the 10 turns that climb up and down the hills here.
This is the one I think a lot of the racers like to call home. This is the one that, you know, when we have people come to the races, this is the one we want to bring them to. So we're looking at Jacob Shaw O'Leary there on the outside. What a heartbreak for Will Hornblower. I can't believe that happened. What was he doing?
And then you can see his buddy Card is looking back and forth, and I think they're all kind of shocked. You know, you're psyching yourself up that Hornblower was expected to be a big part of that battle, and they're having a quick discussion, and you can see Card suggesting that his pulse was pretty high, which is going to be a thing at the start of the race anyhow. Shaw O'Leary on his father's bike, because they had issues with his A bike yesterday. He'd never ridden that bike before. He did really well yesterday on a bike he'd never ridden. And, you know, the joke is nobody rides that bike but my dad, but he actually got on it and did very well, so let's watch those
Here
lights.
we go now. Rider's Choice is going to send us on our way for the final race of the season. Oh, here we go. They're off and running now. Tommy Kazas getting a good launch there. I think he might have the, yes indeed, Tommy Kazas, the newly crowned champion, Colin, has taken the race lead, and I think he wants to end this season on a high note.
On board there with Shaw O'Leary, really good idea of what it's like that first lap, and he's having a good look there.
Oh, wow, look at this.
That's a bit of a surprise.
Indeed, just missing that damp spot too at the bottom of 2 there. O'Leary taking a wide line, and he's been overtaken now by Mitch Card, so O'Leary shunted back in the 3rd spot, but he is definitely in a competitive mode on this day. He's much more comfortable on this motorcycle, obviously.
We were talking about the lines that Hornblower took, and he was using more of the track, and look at O'Leary, he is doing that in today's race.
Yeah, he must have watched the footage from Cordy from last year. Into the race lead goes
second
Jacob
place
Shaw O'Leary. Sorry, we're looking back, from Tommy Kazas' bike. Sorry about that. Yeah, Jacob Shaw O'Leary having a great ride here now and putting that Pro Cycle sponsored Honda into 2nd spot. Now it looks like he's trying to pull up alongside Tommy Kazas. We're on board with Tommy Kazas, and indeed Jacob Shaw O'Leary did pull up alongside, but look who's gone for a ride right past both of them.
So Card demonstrating that slight top-end advantage he seemed to be willing to exploit towards the end of the race yesterday. He is showing it on the very first lap, and I wonder if he's trying to get away, but full marks for Shaw O'Leary. Is just flogging her.
Just about touching the back wheel there of Mitch Card. We had some great shot there from on board with Tommy Casas, and now they're starting to get a few bike lengths on Tommy Casas. So where I thought perhaps Tommy was going for a ride to put an exclamation mark on his championship, that is not at all the case. Now looking at Jacob Shaw O'Leary from the back end of Mitch Card. Wow, you talk about an unusual line through turn 2, Colin.
Yeah, I think that was a little beyond unusual. I think he got it a little hot. Good for him. He stayed with it. He was very wide, but he didn't lose too much ground. Look at that at 3. You were talking about that Cordy line, and he's, Hornblower was using a lot of track yesterday. Shaw O'Leary's using even more now. Great shot heading down into the chute there. Total commitment. Hard at it here, and braking very, very aggressively for Moss Corner. And wow, nothing between it so far. These 3 guys as we go to the dyno on the back straight.
Now O'Leary riding a more conventional line, but I'll tell you what, he's making me very unsettled with some of the lines he's taking, Colin.
And look at him chase Kazaz to get the draft. Good to see. A little more focus slipstreaming early this time. They were pretty nice with each other last time, but I think the arrival of Shaw O'Leary, his first pro season, this is his first time at the front of the National, and look at him, he's wide in 8, but he's tucking it back in there, back on board with Shaw O'Leary. A good look at our leaders, and these 2 guys in front of him have controlled the pace all year long, but he has joined the party the way Hornblower did yesterday.
Yes, indeed. Very important for him to do that, because yesterday, of course, as we mentioned, he was not on a comfortable motorcycle, nor did he have a good start. He lifted the front wheel twice, and again, wide in 1 is Will Hornblower, or sorry, is Jacob Shaw O'Leary.
Yes, the part of Hornblower today is being played by Shaw O'Leary, and with considerable flair, a different take on the role, but I believe that...
Here we go now, Tommy Casas. Up the inside of Quebec corner, turn number 3, and I thought Jacob Shaw O'Leary having a look there as well. Obviously not close enough to make a stab at him, but Tommy Casas, our newly crowned champion, has moved into the race lead ever so briefly, into 4 now. Oh, he holds off... or does he hold him off? Oh, wow, contact side by side coming down into Moss's. That was a hockey body check.
Well, but on the bright side, Frank, that wasn't bar to bar. That was arm to arm, which is much, much safer. And I think both of them used their heads. There's been lots of respect and very little aggression between Kazaz and Card. But the injection of Shaw O'Leary here has changed the dynamic, and they are not as comfortable, and they are racing much harder, much sooner.
Perfectly side by side was Mitch Card and Jacob Shaw O'Leary. O'Leary wide coming into turn number 8. Oh, nice move. Now that'll put him on the inside of turn number 9 and may give him the race lead. Indeed it has. Jacob Shaw O'Leary in the number 210 Pro Cycle sponsored Honda has moved into the race lead.
Well, that wasn't a bonsai move, but you can see bonsai move from where he wound up. That was a terrific bit of racing and really showed these guys that he will do what it takes. Here he is leading a national in his first pro season at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Not many people pull this off.
He's got a fire burning within him, has Jacob Shaw O'Leary. He is really fired up. You know, his dad and himself were on the phone to Austin Shaw O'Leary, querying him on setup, and perhaps those fine setup points that Austin Shaw O'Leary has. Oh, just a bit of a moment there for O'Leary as the back wheel started to step out of it for him, and that slowed him up a bit, brought Tommy Casas into the picture once more, and now Tommy has taken the race lead.
Kazaz was 3rd going into turn 3. Once again, Card left the door open. Through came Tommy, our newly crowned champion, and then he made it work. So he went from 3rd to 1st in basically 2 turns. So, you know, Kazaz is doing well. But again, here we are on the back straight, and inevitably, this is where Mitch Card pulls the trigger and demonstrates that he is going to be tough to beat on the last lap.
Well, O'Leary's got a pretty fast motorcycle as well. Coming out of Moss's, they're definitely out accelerating the number 46 of Tommy Casas. But Mitch Card on the number 12 bike into the point once more. O'Leary has a look to the inside of turn number 9. There is no opportunity there at this point in time as Mitch Card, as we look back rather from Mitch Card's motorcycle now onto the front straightaway and taking a run down into turn 1. They're going single file now, and O'Leary is right in the wheel tracks. Oh, he moves off the line ever so slightly, leaves the door open. Casas has a look, no opportunity.
Interesting. O'Leary really is using the road, and when he's making small mistakes, and that's not unusual in this class, he is handling it really well, which makes him a little bit more like Card than Kazaz, who's more polished. But O'Leary is really throwing that Honda in there, and we haven't talked about this, but we've got two R6s, which have been the dominant brand in this class, but the Honda is showing really well. Of course, Shaw O'Leary was on the podium at our last national, but that's his home track where local knowledge is everything. To do what he's doing, to run with the top guns here. Look at him trying on the outside. Can he get the drive? He was up on the curve there.
He is fearless. I was going to comment also, of course, Will Hornblower not able to make the start of this, but he also was mounted on a Yamaha R6, so 3 of the top 4 bikes on the front row were Yamaha R6s, and that's not uncommon. We see the same things in the United States of America now as Tommy Casas pulls up alongside. Jacob Shaw O'Leary makes a nice clean pass on him and may have something happening here for Mitch Card as they head up and towards 9. Tommy looks to the inside of 9, and Jacob Shaw O'Leary swings around the outside of him and moves back into second spot. This kid is fearless.
I don't know if Kazaz hesitated, but what an incredible pass to ride around the new champion like that. And wow, look at the move he's trying.
Right on the inside of him, just about touching wheels. Oh, big moment for O'Leary as he just about had that motorcycle shake the handlebars right out of his hands.
Yeah, spun the rear tire, started to drift. Thank goodness he stayed with the throttle. So it's a scary moment, but it didn't fling him over the bars. But he lost the drive at a crucial part of the track. So now he's playing catch-up, and that is going to be difficult.
Yeah. This is the part where you don't want the kid to override the motorcycle trying to catch up.
I think he's pretty much been overriding the motorcycle, but Card frequently overrides the motorcycle too, and it's fantastically entertaining the young guys this year and what they're capable of, and the entertainment.
Oh, wow!
So
Jacob Shaw O'Leary's out of control there, right off the racetrack.
Young guy mistake, right? He's trying to make up all that time in 2 or 3 turns, and if he'd been calm, got back into the draft here, he probably would have been all right, but now he probably won't be because he's missed the slipstream, and you cannot, in the middleweight class, get scrubbed off. It's almost impossible to make it up.
Oh, look at the distance now.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really hope he can make it up, but he's going to need some luck or some traffic or something, and of course, these guys don't know that he's had these. Well, they know about one of the major events, but they know about the second one as we complete the lap, and O'Leary's continue to flog it hard as we come out of 10.
Well, Mitch Card not putting in a dominating ride here, but let's remember that he won the doubleheader here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park last year. He won here yesterday. He's got that inner fire burning. He's got the burr under the saddle, whatever you want to call it. Mitch Card is determined that he would like to leave this place doing the double.
Bottom of the hill, Kazaz right on the tail, and he's been ducking through here on the inside time and time again. Card seems comfortable. He leaves the door open, but what often happens is Card, and his bike is strong on the engine. He just nails it through the chute and makes it up, and here we come again. I don't think he's going to do it, but he seems to have a little bit of an advantage both in acceleration and top end, and very casual about it. Like, he leaves the door open in 3 and doesn't seem worried. Now, I wonder, is he doing this because he wants to have a run up the back straight? Just him and Kazaz, and see how it's going to play, because we're thinking strategy as the race winds on.
And O'Leary's definitely been scrubbed off this conversation, unfortunately. So
look at how early Card came out of the draft there.
It takes only 2 motorcycles to make a good motorcycle race. He obviously has great confidence in the power that motorcycle is giving him to work with. Down into at the end of the back straightaway now, down into turn number 8, and Tommy closes it up a bit on brakes and may have something happening here going into 9. Indeed, he does. Takes the race lead ever so briefly, and then Mitch Card grabs it right back again as they head into turn number 10 and onto the front straightaway. Casas a little bit wide coming out of the final corner there.
Fun to see how aggressive Card is. It's also fun to see that he is not threatened by people nearby him. He'll ride wheel to wheel, and he trusts you. And he and Kazaz have put on race after race this year, been together a lot. Really, the only weak race Card had was the opener at Shannonville, where he probably didn't get to the pace as quickly as he needed to stay with the leaders. But he has been exciting to watch, and look at Kazaz up the inside. I think this is maybe the 5th time we've seen that pass.
That's deja vu all over again with that one. You know, it's unfortunate with Jacob Shaw O'Leary because he is the one that's beat him. It's not so much that Mitch Card and Tommy Casas, as Mitch Card takes another pass on Casas on turn 4. That is a daunting, daring corner and a daring place to make a pass like that.
Yeah, he's offline with the drive at the top of the hill and just casually goes on by, and now he's pulling Kazaz up the back straight. And of course, at this point, I'm sure Kazaz is praying he's got enough gear to hang in behind Card's bike, because Card's bike is impressive.
Yeah, very, very fast. Yamaha is the number 12 R6 that Mitch Card is riding. Tommy Kaz is obviously keeping pace with him, but Kaz has really become a very smart rider over the last few years, and he doesn't make any stupid moves. And whoa!
That was almost a stupid move. He was chasing the back end there. It
Yeah.
wasn't stable. He was a little tight, deep on the brakes. He's shown again, Card, that he's got a couple of ideas, and Card didn't. See, Card is making up a lot of time on the back straight, but Kazaz really rides hard off the end of the back straight through 9 and 10, and I think that's partly to show Card that's not going to work. I'm going to try something.
Sometimes, Colin, a race is won before it's run, and that's the way I feel about this one with Mitch Card. He came into this one owning this place, doing the double last year and just saying there's nobody going to beat me in this race. Tommy Casas obviously has different ideas. Beautiful move. That is picture perfect, watching those two riders coming through there, and Casas taking that inside line and taking the race lead once more, and bingo, here we go with Mitch Card as he didn't we do this last time around? Yes, indeed we did. Down into
Kazaz
Moss.
hung in longer this time.
Beautiful. Side by side there for a moment before Tommy Casas slips in behind Mitch Card, and look at there, he's right in his wheel tracks now. He's going to throw out a grappling hook and take a ride with him.
And you can see Card really aggressive with the throttle. That Yamaha is squirming. That Dunlop slick is being asked to deliver some serious horsepower, working the gearbox. Everybody tucked in as best they can, and Card does pull away, but watch this next section. Look at, see Kazaz pushing that bike so hard to make sure he gets back there, and Card knows it.
Now we still see Jacob Shaw O'Leary. He obviously hasn't been able to make up very much distance, if anything at all. But I know there's other motorcyclists in this race, Colin, but where they are, these guys have left them way behind.
I meant to mention a couple of laps ago, we saw a battle for fourth. I didn't see all the bikes, but I believe the first bike was Louis Rafa's Honda, so very, very good run for him. And too bad, really, Hornblower crashed on the warm-up lap. Frank Trombino's out with an injury. Shaw O'Leary showed well, but had a couple of maybe too ambitious decisions that have scrubbed him back to third. But we've got a terrific race for first, but there are 2 or 3 other people who potentially would have been part of this discussion.
And typically, of course, you always have...
Oh, by the way, that was not a pass in turn 3
yes,
for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That may make a big difference here, because here is normally where Mitch Card and Tommy Casas were a lot closer than this. This time around, Mitch has got a couple of bike lengths. Of course, once we get out onto that back straightaway, that could disappear in a hurry. Tommy getting a bit of a back end slide there now on the exit of Moss's corner 5A. And onto the back straightaway now, and the distance between them remains pretty much the same. I don't think he's quite got into that soft air yet, Colin.
Well, yesterday, I think the 3 of them were having fun. Hornblower joined the party. He's friends with both of these guys. But I think Shaw O'Leary pushing early changed the nature of this race. I think the pace is a little hotter. I think it's, the day is hotter. It's taking more out of the tires. So it's a little bit more desperate a little sooner. And of course, yesterday, Card managed to get clear near the end and take a little bit of the pressure off. So far, that hasn't happened here, but they are well ahead of everybody else. And of course, these are the 2 guys who've been the story of the entire season. We've seen them race over and over again, and there has been so much entertainment out of these 2 Yamaha riders.
When we went down to Grand Bend, we fully expected that Card was going to win down there, and Trombino appeared and pulled a rabbit out of his hat and ran away from the youngsters. But that normally is winning territory for Mitch Card, as is Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. He's very used to running up front at this place.
Well, a year ago, we had 2 4-bike races in a row, and Reedman won the championship, but Card won both the races. And we hadn't seen much of Card since he dominated both the amateur championships, and his return to Mosport last year kind of signaled what he was capable of as a pro. And he hasn't had the best season, because obviously he aimed for the title, but he has been very competitive and arguably the most entertaining guy, race after race, lap after lap, because he does not quit.
Yeah, and if you remember the race with Kenny Reedman last year, there was no shortage of contact in that contest.
Yeah, a lot of interesting riding there, and not necessarily of the productive kind, but good fun to watch. This is different. it may be a more frantic pace today compared to yesterday, but these two guys respect each other. They really do seem to like riding. So far, there have been no issues in terms of ill feeling, and it's always nice to watch guys who respect each other but will race close.
And it looks like Jacob Shaw O'Leary has settled into a more sensible pace than we saw earlier on. It was kind of a fear that he might push himself too hard trying to make up at the distance on our race leaders. And Colin, as we watch Tommy Kazas from the back end of Mitch Card's bike, and we come out of turn number 2, feature that we are coming up on a lapper here now. That is Chris Farrow of Kingston, Ontario, on the number 270 bike. He had his personal pace, and he stays wide on the exit of turn number 3, leaving lots of room for our leaders to make their way through.
Yeah, everybody using their heads through there. I think Kazaz was optimistic that he might be able to exploit something, but it didn't make much of a difference, although Kazaz is just slightly closer than he has been on the back straight, so let's see if that helps with the slipstream.
Got that slip again, Colin. I don't know if you noticed that. It was the second time I've noticed that coming out of 5. Just the back end stepping out just maybe a couple of inches.
I think the problem always there is you're so desperate to get the perfect drive, and you're really taking every chance you can to try and get that last little bit, and it's very risky, and there's going to be slides and slips and challenges, and you know, it's easy to be greedy and make a mistake and kill your drive.
Here we are now on board with Tommy Kazas on the Parts Canada, Yamaha Canada sponsored, and HB Cycle sponsored special sponsorship for this weekend for Tommy Kazas on that championship winning R6. Just 2 laps to go.
So now is the time to do your math in reverse and try and figure out what will get you to the finish line. Where are your strengths? Where do you have to protect the line? You know, Card is very good on the back straight, which is the single most important thing. Kazaz has been willing to be aggressive in places. Here we go, up the inside of 3. And I think, honestly, that's the 8th or 9th time he's made that pass, and Card doesn't seem to mind. Of course, they're so far ahead that a little bit of dicing is not going to affect anybody else. And that time, Card was thinking about the inside, but I think, yeah, Kazaz ran it in very deep, so he's trying to change the rhythm and see if he can change the result.
Well, Card's a big advantage, as you noted already, Colin, is that back straightaway. So obviously, if Tommy and Mitch come down, and it obviously looks like it in the last lap that they're going to come down to a dogfight for first spot, Card pulls out, and perfect example of what we were just talking about. This is where his A game is, on the back straightaway. And this area right now, as we enter into turn number 8, 9, and 10, this is where Tommy Kazas can win this race.
I think Kazaz has taken some chances.
There he goes into the race. No, he doesn't get the race lead. He looked like he had the perfect line going through there, and Mitch Card shut the door on him.
And I think, you know, Kazaz's bike is set up well for the amount of power it has. He's got the gearing to do reasonably well in the draft, but he is not a threat in the draft. So that really gives Card a few more choices. But look at this. Card actually has maybe the biggest edge he's had. So can Kazaz, with his slightly inferior performance up the back straight, get back into the draft, you know, with less than a lap to go?
Tall order is going to be a tough hole to roll for Tommy Kazas. The thing that might save him if they're able to come up on some traffic, but I haven't been able to spot anything ahead of them. Oh yes, there is someone there just underneath the bridge now, heading down into 4. Mitch Card's going to come up on him first, and it may happen right down at Moss's.
Card has a lead that you might argue is safe, but we don't know what's going to happen with the traffic. If he gets them in the right, he might get them where he needs them on the back straight. That could help Card, whose bike's already plenty fast.
2 bikes ahead of Mitch Card right now. We're on board the Parts Canada Yamaha of Tommy Kazas right now, a very distinct distance away from the Yamaha up front of Mitch Card, and now we got Danny Arrett and Richard Fearing.
The drift camera really gave you an idea of what it's like to be trying to win this race with a lot of things going on, and look at him. Wow, that was daring.
And Fearing and Arrett have been going at this all race long as well, a race within the race at the back of the pack. But now Tommy Kazas has got 2 bikes between him. There's not a chance, and you know what, for him to catch Mitch Card, and Card nodding his head and punching the hole in the air and celebrating as he heads down into turn number 1. So he played those lappers perfectly and got them between him and Tommy Kazas, and I don't think Tommy could have made up the distance whether there were lappers or not there.
It didn't look like it, but Card took a couple of chances. Not crazy, but reasonably judged chances at the right time. There you can
Look
see
at this.
our two top guns, first and second in the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship. And the problem with Card is he just doesn't enjoy his success.
Shouldn't he be standing on the footrest or something along those lines?
And his
Where's
good
he going?
friend, Hornblower, of course, has watched the whole race down here.
Hey, nice ride, Mitch. Hop on board. Give you a ride home. Tommy stops as well.
So there we have Hornblower on the back, patting his friend on the head. Just took 2 national victories in a row, Saturday and Sunday, at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And it's a shame that Mr. Hornblower was not part of the show, but he is a very good sport about the whole thing.
He did get to complete his lap, though, with that one
Won't be
riding
scored,
on the back.
though.
How do you like being a pillion rider? And good sportsmanship, nonetheless, by Will Hornblower, and he seems to enjoy watching his good buddy Mitch, and Mitch trying to get that front. There he goes, getting the front wheel in the air. Not quite a Frank Trombino wheelie, but
no, but it's a lot harder at Mosport with the tall gearing. At Grand Bend, those wheelies are easy. Oh, here we go. We're gonna celebrate at the top of 2. Of course, there's a lot of fans who like to watch there. It's a favorite spot, so it's a good place to stop, do a little burnout. That Dunlop tire is pretty much finished anyway.
yes, indeed.
Let's have a look at our results. Card manages to hold off Kazaz. What a great race. Shaw O'Leary was Mr. Entertainment early on and definitely showed at the end of his first pro season that he has made some major steps. Darren James out to 4th in his return to the series. Chris Brent, another rookie pro, 5th, and that is a very strong result on another Honda. Louis Raffa, Honda again. Eli DeCash, Stacy Nisbet on her Honda. Coelho on a Yamaha. He was 2nd overall on a Kawasaki last year. And David McKay round out our top 10 at CTMP.
And bragging rights, of course, for Tommy Casas as well, as he set the fastest lap of the race.
Now let's head down to the podium.
Jacob, we watched you from the pit wall there. You were leading the race for a while, and then you fell back a ways, but what a great ride. You kept it upright and brought it home.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. I had a big moment coming into 1 behind Mitch. I'd say he just sucked the air off the front of the bike, and it set me right up out of the seat, and Thomas was right behind me. I'm glad no one got into me. And then that same lap, we were coming up the backstretch, and the quick shifter quit working on me, so I got stuck in 4th gear for a bit, and they pulled on me. And after that, they just kept pulling and pulling because I lost the draft. So it was a lot of fun running at the front with them. It was a new experience. I learned a lot, and I can't wait to do it again next year with these guys.
Second spot, the champion, Tommy Casas. That was a championship ride. That was a smart ride.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best races this season. Although I didn't win, it was a blast out there, and these guys are riding really well. Congrats to Jake for keeping the pace up there. He was very aggressive, very good riding. Unfortunately, he had that mishap, and same with Will. It would have been a 4-way battle, and but no, Mitch, man, we went back and forth like. It had to be a good 20 times, and I can't wait to see the footage on that. It's going to be good to watch. We were even hitting a couple times, but it was a blast. I kept trying, and then unfortunately, I was still down on ponies in the back straight, and he kept getting by me, and we were riding really hard. We showed the front wheel, and we would close on each other, and it was really fun. I hope the crowd enjoyed it, and thank you to all of you guys for coming out and watching.
Like Tommy said, it was one of the best races we've had all year. It was awesome. The weather was perfect. All the crowds out there. Yeah, the tires were perfect. Everything was there. Unfortunately, Will Hornblower had a mishap there on the opening lap, but it happens. It was awesome to see Shaw O'Leary out there just kicking butt, and he was up there in front for a while, and then Thomas was getting by me all the time, and I really had to tuck in, and I really worked for that one. It definitely didn't come to me easy. It's just been a sweet race. I can't even believe that we all finished that together. It was pretty crazy.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was your race winner. This is your podium. Jacob Shaw O'Leary on the Honda in 3rd. Second spot, our champion, Tommy Casas. And, of course, first spot to Mitch Cart. Okay, we will now call upon Paul from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park to bring the champagne up. And I'm going to get the heck out of here. I got sprayed yesterday. It's not going to happen today.
So as Frank enjoys the Parisian bath, let's look at our final point standings, because as the runaway champion from Card and these two fought it out, Louis Rafa proves the value of consistency, third overall. Jacob Shaw O'Leary missed a couple of races with injury, still manages fourth. Trombino also out of action fifth, and Coelho, Nesbitt, McKay, Chris Brent, another rookie pro, and Christopher Garvey, who missed Mosport but was up front early in the season.
On behalf of the entire CSBK crew and the Toronto Argonauts cheerleaders, thanks so much for joining us on this day. We're looking forward to bringing you some more great racing in 2018.